welcome to the channel. My name is Juan and today we're going to cook a true Spanish classic, la tortilla española, or you might know it as Spanish omelette. Important though, the Spanish tortilla has nothing to do with the Mexican cuisine. It is a very traditional dish and you can serve it as tapa, which means as a part of a larger size tapas dish, as main dish, or even for breakfast. This recipe will take you approximately 45 to 60 minutes and it should feed 2 persons as a main dish and 4 to even 5 persons as a tapas-sized dish. It actually takes very few ingredients to make a proper tortilla, but you have to use the high quality ingredients and you have to prepare and cook them the right way in order to get a proper result. So let's quickly take a look at the ingredients. The main ingredient are potatoes, not 1 or 2, no, we need 4 very large potatoes or a couple of smaller ones, well, about that much. The next ingredient is an onion, which is also a bit controversial. Well, there are possibly as much tortilla recipes as there are households in Spain, and some of them won't contain the onion. You'd probably call that a tortilla de patatas, so a potato tortilla. However, I think the onion is essential to the classic taste of the dish, and most of the tortillas you will get in Spain will contain an onion. I go with rapeseed oil here, yes, rapeseed, but do not worry, we're going to need extra virgin olive oil as well. So why both, you might ask? You will need a lot of oil, since you're going to pre-fry almost all of your ingredients. So I use rapeseed oil for this, for the pre-frying. Purists might even use olive oil, or I've seen people using extra virgin olive oil. But first of all, olive oil has its very own taste, and it's also a lot stronger and a lot more expensive. Even if you're in Spain where they make the stuff, it's expensive. So remember here, it's a poor man's dish and they would not have extra virgin olive oil available for frying stuff, okay? So I use rapeseed oil. If you've already made a tortilla some day before, you can also reuse the oil, because we do not want to waste any of it, right? Then we have extra virgin olive oil, preferably Spanish. This is not, but it doesn't actually matter as long as it's extra virgin olive oil. There is a big difference between extra virgin olive oil and normal olive oil. So the extra virgin is cold pressed and unrefined, and a lot stronger in flavor, and also a little bit darker in color than the regular olive oil, which is heated to extract the oil and refined after. So we go pure here and it really tastes different. But if you don't have extra virgin olive oil available, you can also use normal olive oil. If you want to, you can even replace the rapeseed oil with olive oil, but it's more expensive though. You also need 6 eggs, salt obviously. Well, not that much, but it looks better like this. If you like, and this is what I do, I use a little bit of white pepper. If you want to use pepper, make sure to use white pepper, since it is a little bit spicier than black pepper, which goes well with the dish, and more importantly, it adds no color at all to the tortilla. That's it for the ingredients. Make sure to use high quality ingredients, because you have very few ingredients and it's really important to make them high quality. Use regional products, that's the very nature of the tortilla, and yeah, let's go cooking. You need a large non-stick fry pan. If you have no non-stick fry pan, you need a lot of heat and also oil in order to be able to flip the tortilla later. I love cast iron pans, for example, but I would never use one for tortilla. It can really mess up your dish. You also need a plate or an even cap in order to flip the tortilla later. The plate should have no edge. I usually do smaller tortillas, but for this I went a little bit larger. So the edge of my plate, which was the only plate which was larger than the pan, will possibly do a bit of damage to the form of my tortilla and will make flipping and sliding it back a little bit more difficult. So make sure your plate for flipping is even, okay? It has no edges, more importantly. The first step would be to peel all the potatoes. Don't waste too much. Then you're going to half and quarter the onion and chop it into really rough pieces, because not too thin, because you're going to pre-fry it. So really rough, not about the looks here. And now we get rid of the onion and make space for our main ingredient, the potato. You're going to halve it and then quarter it. Them and slice them into pieces of equal thickness. This is really important because you're going to fry them and they should be equally thick. I really like to have irregular pieces in there in terms of the form, but they should be more or less equally thick, if you know what I mean. That shouldn't differ too much because they would fry uneven, as I said. You want them possibly as thick as the half size of your thumbnail, half an inch or 3 to 4 millimeters thick, not thicker, nor thinner. If you go too thin on them, they might break up when you fry them or move them in the pan, and they will eventually soak up oil, okay? And then it will get nasty and, you know, unpleasant. We do not want that. It might seem like a lot in volume, but eventually, onion and potatoes are basically a ratio 1-to-1, but don't be afraid, the onions are going to reduce a lot. So you will not even see them anymore later on. We're going to start with rapeseed oil, a solid base, and I'm going to add used rapeseed oil from tortilla I made 2 days before. So here we go, because we are not going to waste anything, right? So after you're done with this, you can keep the oil as well and reuse it within the next days. We add the onions. You can do that while the oil is still not completely boiling, so you avoid splashes. And make sure you have enough oil to cover everything, the onions and later on the potatoes as well. That's actually a lot of oil. We're giving the onions like 5 minutes now, and they can release everything they need, caramelize well and release their sweet flavor, which will mix up with potatoes and egg later. So give them a bit of time. So after about 5 minutes, you add all your potatoes. Be careful on that, so you can even take it off the heat shortly, so you don't want the oil to splash around. So be careful when you add the potatoes. Anyway, once you've added the potatoes, you can leave them for approximately 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your thickness, the thickness of your potatoes. So you can stir them now very softly once, so your pan is even between potatoes and onions. But after that, leave it for 10 to 12 minutes or 15 even, depending on how al dente you want or how well done you want your tortilla, and do not stir it around too much. Just look that it doesn't burn, because you don't want that taste in your tortilla. But you go medium heat, and should be fine. Simmering, and that's it. Now crack your eggs. And once you've done that, you add a little bit of seasoning, a bit of salt, and what I do right here is white pepper, which makes it a bit more spicy and doesn't give it any extra color. White pepper is not traditionally in the recipe, you can leave it perfectly out, but I like it and that's why I'm going to add it. Now I'm going to stir it around and wait. So you check your potatoes in between, don't stir too heavy, but you don't want them to burn the ground, because that burnt flavor will transmit over the whole dish and you don't want that. Yeah, so after about 10 to 12 minutes or even 15, you have to check, we get rid of the oil. You should possibly make that over a kitchen sink and even use a colander for that. However, get rid of all the oil. And when the last drop of oil is gone, you're going to add the whole mass of potatoes and onions into your eggs, and then you're gonna mash it. Like stir it really aggressively. You can add a little bit of seasoning, not too much, and stir it aggressively. And here we go. The egg almost starts cooking because you have added the heat of potatoes and onions, and now you're gonna put some aluminum foil on it and wait 5 to 10 minutes. You can give it 10 minutes rest, so onions, eggs and potatoes can talk to each other and get to know each other a bit better. Now you're going to add extra virgin olive oil in your pan after you've cleaned it, obviously, and then you're bringing the heat up. You can add it now. I would suggest to wait a little bit until the oil is a little bit hotter, but avoid splashes. And then be careful. You don't want to burn it, and you go full heat for, I would say, a minute or so, maybe a minute and a half. And after that you go to reduce the heat. Now you leave that on medium heat for approximately 10 to 12 minutes, depending on how well done or al dente you want your tortilla. A lot of people like it moist inside, so you can reduce the time, but I like it really well done. So yeah, get a feel for it. After your first tortilla you will know when to flip it, and yeah, don't work too much on it, just make sure it doesn't burn. It shouldn't happen with medium heat. And now we're going to prepare for the flipping. So you want to check if it's stick. No, it's not stick. You can check that while moving the pan. Prepare a plate which is bigger than your pan, a towel for in case all will split up. And don't be afraid, now the tortilla can smell it, and then you flip it quickly, and here we go. You want a plate which is even and has no edge, because it's, you're now going to see why. Add a bit of oil to your pan again, go full heat, and then you re-add the tortilla to it. And now, because I have a little edge on the plate, you see I lost some potatoes here, but no worries, you can add them and work them under with your spatula or whatever you use. So I had no plate which was even and that size. Usually I do smaller tortillas, but yeah, I suggest you to take a plate which is even and has no edges. So now you're going to work around. It's really important for the form of the tortilla. After 1 minute of full heat, you reduce to medium heat and wait a bit. Yeah, cook with feeling. Your tortilla is done when it's done. And that is basically it. You don't need an oven or anything. Just make it in the pan. It's not a frittata. You can flip it again, and here it is. For me, a tortilla as it should be. I like it a bit al dente, so you can take it off earlier, so it's still moist inside. I do not like that, so I left it on a bit longer. Now let's see and cut it, which mine should be not moist inside, because I do not like that. But it's personal preference, right? So it's really up to you. If you want your meat well done or your pasta al dente or a bit softer, same with the tortilla. You can, as I said, reduce the time pre-flipping, like before flipping obviously, and you will have a little bit moisture in it. And yeah, this is how I like it. Let's see. Yep. Now you actually wait until it has room temperature and it's ready to serve. That's, yeah, it really goes good with pan with tomate and pan con tomate, like bread with tomato. And yeah, that's it, tortilla española. This was my very first video. I hope you liked and enjoyed it. And as I said, it is also available in Spanish and German. And as English is not my second language, I would be happy if you could leave some constructive feedback for this, and I'm trying to improve, and from now on I want to be regularly making recipes and cooking videos. Remember, I'm not a pro chef, I'm a home cook, and yeah, that was Quest for Flavor. The very first recipe, La Tortilla Española. I hope you liked it. Yeah, sincerely yours, and hope to see you again here on the channel. Hit like and subscribe, and help me grow. Bye bye.